Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Summit 6 European Qualifier Finals. It's Virtus Pro versus Team Finem, and we're about to hop into game number 2 of this best-of-5 final, with Finem already taking the one-game advantage. I'm Kyle Guy for Beyond the Summit, going to be joined again in-house by Blaze. Now, Blaze, Virtus Pro made the call during that draft right at the end that they opted to put the ban on Sven over the Madar Slark. Do you think there's some sort of sense of regret there now? Because that Madar Slark looked crazy.
Yeah, just a bit. I feel like Sven is something they could have dealt with. Obviously, Warcry is really annoying when you have such a lineup around physical damage and oriented around that. But the Slark is just a different beast entirely. He's capable of so many different things when he gets the items that he needs, and we got to see it in full flourish. So, I don't know. It's probably comparable as far as like levels of bans and levels of threats to their success, but at the same time we got to see one and not the other, and we have some bias against it. So
it's just he's that good with the hero. It's like at that point you have to weigh. It's like, do you give him a hero? He's so good with that. It doesn't matter, what draft was thrown together or what might be a better, harder pick in Sven. It's just he's going to go for it 9 times out of 10. So we'll have to see if this time he gets the nod of respect or not as we move on into the draft for game number 2. It is going to be Virtus Pro with the first pick, and they've already banned out the Oracle and the Wisp, taking out 2 of the prized defensive supports, while Finem take out the Drow first and foremost. And now we got like OD, Enchantress. It's always different. I don't know if you got to watch much of the American finals, but we got a treat of like offlane Leshrek.
Oh, yeah, Moo was all up on that. That was really fun.
Like, you really never know what to expect, and this time they'll ban out the Sand King.
All right, Skylark obviously plays that hero really well, but Ipashu can step it up in that department as well, and it's such a versatile hero to open with. Like, you're giving first pick to your opponent in this case. Well, in this case, VP decided it for themselves, but in what you're dealing with instead is the fact that this hero can be picked up in phase 1, can be played mid, can be played off lane. We've seen safe lane sometimes, jungle support. Like, you don't know what is going to happen when you let an enemy have a Sand King. You don't really know how to build around it to counteract it. The only team that I think has a decent idea about it is maybe like Team Liquid with the Miracle Rubik. I think that's a pretty good counter, but in general, like, Sand King is just a hard hero to deal with and to prepare for because you don't know enough information just from the pick alone. But here's like Shadow Demon Luna. This is a opening the VP used earlier, where it's like, you know that Ramses is just going to try to get as much of farm as possible, push a bunch of towers, and have a good game. So you have an idea of what you're up against now, and you can try to tackle that. You can try to put your chess pieces in play to give yourself an advantage. We know that at Finem, with the Ogre, the Juggernaut, that they're going to have some pretty early momentum. I mean, Ogre is such a good hero, even at level 2, in terms of like tanking through tons of damage, in terms of outputting quite a lot, and controlling targets. So with the Juggernaut on top of him, with like level 1 having the Blade Fury potential to just kill off a target outright, I really do think they're going to be very active in this laning phase.
I would imagine so, but that was something Liquid attempted to do. They had that aggro lane set up, taking it against Ramses in his Luna lane, but even that wasn't enough to stop him. So should Finem just have their own take on it, put an aggro lane setup to make sure Ramses doesn't have a good laning stage, or should they just focus on themselves and what they want to do? It's hard to tell now without seeing much more of the draft, but after already being on the sidelines and watching that lower bracket final, I'm curious to see what Finem did take away from it.
Yeah, I do feel that it's too much of a risk to go aggro against it, because they can just put in a really good 3v3 hero, not necessarily an Undying, but just something that really follows up Shadow Demon well. Kunkka, for example, can effectively work well in a tri-lane. You go the Disruption, you've got all this damage from the Lunar Blessing, and it's quite difficult to contest. So what I would much prefer is just they focus on dominating the mid matchup. Like, the Ogre can just babysit mid and put out a lot of pressure, whether it's Juggernaut mid or something else for Thug. I feel like they can kind of let Luna do her thing, fight against her when it's appropriate, but mostly focus on their mid and safe lane and just dominate those lanes. If you win 2 out of 3 so convincingly, it doesn't necessarily matter too much how big Ramses is. Of course, he'd beg to differ, and we'll see what he can do when he gets his items up. But at least for now, I do think that Finem's strength will lie places other than the bottom lane.
Virtus Pro continue their second phase of bans, getting rid of the OD, and now taking out what had been a Skylark comfort pick in the Darkseer. But Finem, speaking of comfort picks, their third pickup here, looking like another game for a Spartan Lion, is impacting game number 1, and in the recent games for Finem has been doing a lot of success. And, where other teams have just kind of fallen out of favor with Lion, Finem just keep calling them out. Great lockdown, reliable burst
5
damage.
seconds remaining.
Anything in particular that bounces out to you now that you're just going against a Luna and Shadow Demon, or is it just the trusty support?
I mean, it's really strong in all of these departments. So you can talk about Lion. Like, think about the Shanghai Major, where Lion was actually like the main pick. I think Pilot Eye was the one to make the most of it.
Something's up.
Yeah.
With Finem, they're doing something fishy here, Blaze. That's an Undying. We got a Lion. We got an Ogre. One of these guys is a core.
You could do Undying Ogre offlane duo. Undying takes the farm. It's kind of taking a leaf out of VP's book in the sense that Ipashu was a pseudo support, pseudo offlaner. And it wasn't the biggest deal if he gets too much farm. The same thing with the Undying. If he could snowball, wonderful. If not, yeah, you can do the arcane mech thing, and that can be fine too. So, yeah, I think that they can go for some dual lane action. Could aggro. I mean, Juggernaut's great in aggro, and Undying is just like there are weaknesses when you go up against Shadow Demon, Luna, and now the Chen. Especially because you don't have great tools to control the Chen neutral creeps. Like, Witch Doctor has cast, CM has the Frostbite, and the Mirana has the arrow. These 3 abilities are really good at just making sure that Chen isn't impactful in the lane.
Yeah.
They don't have any of that. They have Undying. They have these good supports for just fighting and killing. So in the end, we'll see exactly how the configuration works out. But the main thing to take away from these 4 picks is what I mentioned before. They want to win the lanes. These are lane-winning heroes. These guys will absolutely destroy and get a kill advantage in the early game. And that's the game plan. We'll see if Virtus Pro are in the right place in the right time with their supports, the Shadow Demon and the Chen, to counteract that, to save their allies, and to hopefully get a return kill. But right now, Finem by default have heroes that will win the laning phase and then try to snowball it from there.
Virtus Pro could be trying to prepare for that. They get a Dragon Knight, a trusty mid lane Dragon Knight, and with his Dragon's Blood, should be able to tank up a lot of the potential pressure coming his way, whether the aggression come to his lane or not from the side of Finem. He'll be the one to trusty stay in lane and offers the extra pushing power. You put that together with a Luna, with a Chen, Shadow Demon. The objective gaming is certainly there for Virtus Pro. It's just that lingering question if they're going to be able to make their way out from that laning phase to be able to succeed. Because if Finem do have trouble asserting their dominance in game plan at the start of this one, it is going to be a tough road because Virtus Pro are going to have all the tools necessary in this ridiculous dark army that they're throwing together for themselves. So curious what the last piece of the puzzle is going to be for Finem. They were personally worried about being possibly cheesed out, so they even banned out the Brood in this case, but to see what else is out there.
I think they're looking for a 1v1 matchup then. They're looking for their safe lane to be a 1 versus 1 where they don't have to pick up a big AoE nuke. They don't have to pick up like a Legion Commander or a Bristleback to deal with the Broodmother. So they were worried about, something cheesy, but it shows me that at the very least the supports are going to be split up, if not just both on the off lane. There's definitely not going to be 2 supports down bottom, which is probably for the better since Undying kind of sucks in that respect. But yeah, it could be Juggernaut, Lion, Undying top. It's going to be a Jakiro. At this point, we're just filling out. Like, you have a checklist, you have your bingo cards. Pull out your hero bingo for new meta, because this is a thug mid-lane Jakiro.
What? Oh my god, I love this patch. All right, so Finem we're playing our game here. What mid-lane Jakiro? Last time I heard this make headlines, Blaze, was in the hands of Complexity trying to make it work through scrims and early TI. And at the time, they felt very confident about it. Being able to take any sort of 1v1 kind of a matchup should be awesome here, I'd say, against Dragon Knight, right? I mean, Liquid Fire does a lot of work, especially on these, melee cores trying to work and do their farm game in the lane. But he does have that Dragon's Blood, and he is a Dragon Knight going against a Dragon, Blaze. So,
yeah,
lore-wise, he should win.
Yeah, 2 dragons, 2 heads are better than 1, but actually, it's like 2 versus 1 half. He's a half dragon, half man. So in this case, the 2 heads, 2 dragons. They just got more dragons. But we'll see if the Chen can pick up an Aghanim Scepter and try to even the odds a little bit.
Oh yeah.
The more important thing is timing. I really do feel like Finem is a ticking time bomb. This lineup will absolutely destroy for the first 20 minutes of the game, do okay for the next 10, and then be pretty miserable for the rest of the game. They are looking to take racks by 30 minutes for sure, preferably as soon as possible. So the Jakiro able to push very quickly with Liquid Fire. You can actually just throw a Tombstone down right on top of the tower, so it's very difficult to defend. And then, heroes like Ogre, Lion, Juggernaut, they're all about doing as much damage as possible around level 6. So Bloodlusting, Liquid Firing, just bringing down towers quickly, and pushing like crazy. I really do think this is going to be a very fast-paced game. Could be decided by the first major team fight.
We'll see how fast things do get rolling here as we hop into game number 2 of our best of 5 grand final. Remember, the winner of this series secures their trip to the LAN out here in LA. Virtus Pro were at the Summit 4. No, Summit 4 and made it to the finals to go against EG, if I'm not mistaken, but did come up short there in a full 5-game stretch. After that, in Summit 5, Finem did participate. Unfortunately, did come up a bit short in their tournament run, but both these teams looking for a run back, and it's going to be Finem who are able to get sights onto no one first, leading with the stun, and the chase is on with the Blade Fury. They should be able to secure it, but the Fairy Fire comes out, and they already changed course. They're not going to be able to get the finish. Oh, heartbreaking there for Finem, who invested so much to get that first blood. They'll have to let the man go. No one heads all the way back to the fountain to heal on up. He will miss the block, but it looks like Lil will be here to assist that department.
Yeah, 2 major things there is that you went for Earth Spike over Hex. If you're hitting a single target with 4 heroes behind you, Hex is much better than Earth Spike because it's a 2.5 second slow rather than just the 1.1 second stun. Beyond that, obviously, they just gave up the goat too early. They were like, oh, yeah, he's dead. We got dots on him, but in the end, the Fairy Fire prevails, and that's a missed opportunity. Still going to be even on Bounty Runes. Luna actually picking it up instead of the DK since he was, running back to his well. But I'll just say that he's going to give Thug a minor advantage here in the mid lane. And again, it should be a pretty interesting matchup. Using the Liquid Fire and the Dual Breath to harass out the Dragonite. He's going to have to buy a lot of sustain.
It is pretty mana intensive to keep dishing out the dual breath, so I'm curious to see how he manages to balance the mana. But at being in the solo lane, I imagine his farm will bulk up quite a bit. It looks like Lil is going to be doing some offensive juggling, if you will.
Yeah.
Going down and could end up creeping in behind this Jakiro and getting a nice early advantage.
Even stacking up the camps just to make sure he gets the best possible creep. And it's going to be the Wild Wing. They do see this. They have tower vision, so they already see him in play with the Wild Wing. They're not going to be in position quickly enough to sap the experience or to get tested in any way. Lil will be getting his level 2, and they'll probably look to make something happen against Thug.
At least it is in their sights and something that I'm sure Thug will kind of keep in the back of his mind, or at least his team will help remind him about in case an approach will be had. While top lane, they are contesting pretty heavily over this full camp right now. Skylark and maybe next time feel like they do have the Bruiser kind of a lineup and will look for any opportunity to take an approach like this one. Don't want to chase too far as Solo does have the disruption and could eventually just turn it back and around, but the support Ogre is happy to just bully back the other support as far as possible.
He's not afraid of anything. He knows the Chen's bottom. There's absolutely no risk to him moving this far in. He could move to the next tier 3 and still feel pretty safe.
Lil got the purge creep. He was hoping to get a jump on that mid lane and continuously purge him down, but didn't find the opportunity there.
Yeah. It's also that no one is using a lot of his mana just to get CS. Right. To describe this matchup a little bit more thoroughly, not that I've seen a lot of Dragonite versus Jakiro, I will say that the big thing here is Dragonite.
Sorry, Pasha moving in aggressively in the bottom lane with a haste rune, hoping to get something set up for Lil, but he's dealing with Madara right now, and there goes the continuous purge. So they'll just get rid of the purge creep. Stop it.
Easy 17 gold.
But Lil is persistent, man. He wants to
dead.
go in.
Lil's going to die to this, isn't he?
Turnaround stun? Lil, you've gone too far.
What is he doing?
He's dead. First blood goes to Madar. The greed is real.
There's, like, the best case scenario is you get Spartan to pop his salve and cancel it with an auto immediately. Like, you don't kill Spartan there with auto attacks. There's literally no way. But you might be able to force a salve out of him if you're getting, like, the highest roll on your auto attacks. But no, he just got way too greedy, got way too tunnel visioned, and he gets turned around on so easily. So, in the end, yeah, Chen is going to be the first blood. Lil, now, like, he has to go back to his own jungle, start finding creeps there, and they're not very good spawns. So, just a pretty bad time. With one spawn blocked and with wolves spawning on the other, he has no option but to, like, farm for the next level or two.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be put on. I don't know, is he behind enough where he has to segue away from being that early laning impact Chen and just opt to go for the more greedy style, push forward, try to get a mech or something?
Yeah, I mean, you can do either. He has 2 smokes, so I think he should make the most of them when he does have them. But yeah, probably pick up like 2 creeps and just go somewhere and gank. If you go for the farming route, it's fine too. But use the smokes while you've got them. Put out some pressure and try to help this DK.
Just be worried that the option for ganking will be more limited as these Finem members do get more tanky. Top lane, not tanky enough though, is going to be unfortunately MNT as he gets caught between too many VP members and eats a bit too much damage with Lil being involved.
Yep, and Ramsey's having the level 2 Elusive Beam, nice little burst combo with the Shadow Demon, who is going to have some mana issues this game. Didn't talk about it yet, but 55 mana cost on Shadow Poison. Thanks, Ice Frog, for that. Buff Disruption, nerf Shadow Poison.
Spartan's
it's pretty
dead?
sad. Yeah, no Hex,
Well,
unfortunately.
2 more seconds? Yeah. Still no Hex means he can't stop down the Slardar, and
And that's the risk of a solo support going for the bottom rune that the offlaner is most likely going for too. If you cannot 1v1 that offlaner, you're putting yourself in a rough spot.
looked like Virtus Pro tried to make a gank here happen on Thug, and you'd think it wouldn't be too hard of a target to get the jump on. Jakiro seems to be, pretty big, clunky kind of a guy, but he's nursing close to the tower and was able to kind of slip into a bit of a crevice and avoids the trouble. He now has his bottle back on hand. Just double null, tells us that he's obviously going to be moving into a Veil in the near future.
So to express what I was trying to mention before as far as this mid matchup goes, the DK is really all about focused on CS. He's got the Quelling Blade, he reduces enemies' damage output by Breathe Fire. He's just really trying to always have more damage output than Thug and to get the CS advantage. However, a Thug also gets to not only focus on CS but harassment. So it forces no one to chew more into regeneration. He might have to, he has a Bottle Crow here. So he's taking more harassment, but at the same time, no one is getting the better of him in CS. 32 and 5 over the 33 and 2. And I evaluate denies to be a little bit higher here, but Spartan under tower actually may go down. Need the lightning to come out. No, Fog of War is not enough.
Yeah, that pesky Harpy has just got the sights, got the lightning, and will be able to bring him down. That is pulling VP up ahead now 3-1.
Yeah, Lil likes to gank. That's definitely his play style with PAs, with Weavers, with Chen's Enchantress.
Uh-oh, top lane, Eclipse is going to be fired out. Skylark is going to have to soak up all the damage as he frantically runs towards the creeps. He's not going to be able to make it away. Good setup there by Solo. Allows Ramses to get the job done. And now it's going to be 1-0 on the Luna, who had already been continuing to farm pretty swell in this top lane. 26, 27, and 3. Not too shabby. Being shined out, of course, by this Jug, who is continuing to go to work. Madara is 1-0, but 37 and 5 CS. Has Omni Slash here. Stalking Pasha a bit, but doesn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'd have to say, Chen might just get the courier here. Yeah, it actually hangs around for a little while, gets netted and gets killed. So that's going to be a nice little pocket of change for
away to another dimension.
Yeah. And he's out of here. But yeah, at this point, I would have to say that I really like how both supports are staying pretty distant from their cores. Like, the Luna is only level 6 at that timing because the Shadow Demon has been pulling and been staying out of lane for as long as possible. And Madara is getting pretty good experience because Spartan's been roaming as well. So we're actually going to see the cores really pumped up into a position to succeed because they have these major ultimates available.
Ramses will make the run all the way back to his base while mid lane. MNT will trade off some bottle usage here between Thug. And, this is what I'm getting curious about. They put this Jakiro mid lane matchup with the Dragon Knight, but they haven't been able to really get too much of a catch on him. Here and now he's able to walk away from trouble, and he also wasn't shut down too hard in the laning stage. They matched up even pretty much throughout Blaze, so I'm curious to see where does this Jakiro go from here now that the laning impact was kind of, just a bit of a wash for both sides. Now what do you do with this farm Jakiro?
Well, I mean, you see it here with the Veiled Discord that you mentioned. He's going to be able to push down towers very quickly with this maxed out Liquid Fire. It's a pretty much, it's a 100% uptime on a 50% attack speed slow. Cutting the tower's damage in half is so good for pushing early on. And of course, you're going to have various spells of damage over time and slows and stuns to add to the lineup at very long range. You really just can't underestimate this hero in the early game. As game goes on, he's going to feel weaker because the attack speed slow will matter less against heroes, and obviously magical damage will start to taper off. But for right now, he's in a pretty good position to start snowballing, whereas no one, he wants to keep farming. Like, they both have gotten farm, but no one needs even more.
Race for the rune. No one even pops out the dragon form. Hits the dragon tail, and unfortunately for him, the ogre was there first. And MNT will be able to snag up the illusion rune. Pulls back it away, so no one will just take his dragon business back to the lane, seeing if maybe he can creep into the tower. His top lane, they make a go for Skylark, locking him down with the elusive beam. He gets the heal off, and MNT shows up to play now, pops up the ignite, a bit of a stun on Ramses. Madara's here now, trying to get close enough with the Omni Slash, but the range, also something that's been nerfed down in the past from the Mighty Frog. Ramses knows that he can't pursue as he didn't have the move speed. Finally, Madara gets close enough with a Blade Fury. Won't be able to get it done. Still holds the Omni and uses it on Solo. Efficiency coming out at its finest by Madara as he secures a double kill.
Yeah.
He's looking to run back away.
He might die here, but like he created so much space. He got 2 kills. He's able to force everybody to the top lane. Lion's going to be getting his level 6. Thug gets to push out the mid lane. And you got the 2 kills on top of it. And the fact that Skylark didn't die. The last Shadow Poison didn't hit him, so that's not enough damage to bring him down, and he gets to still rip himself up to health. So Really good turn of events for Adfinem. Before this, it looked like at VP were stifling the early momentum for Adfinem, which is kind of their kryptonite. If you don't have momentum as a tempo draft that's looking to push the game by 20 minutes, then you got a lot of problems. But that's the first really big move for Adfinem, and VP are going to have to match it.
And now with Spartan getting closer to his level 6, they will have a finger soon to use here. TP's coming in, and look like they might have had a setup here for Pasha, but they're not going to follow forward with it. And looks like Madar will just make his simple return after making such a nice impact into the top lane. He'll get back into his farm grind. They're going to push towards that level 2 Omni Slash, and oh my god, he's actually getting some good damage here. Pasha is dead.
Yeah,
all right,
straight up.
quick and easy kill. Madar recognizing a situation that he can capitalize on, and will do so.
Yeah, a little bit of hesitation there from the starter, whether or not he wanted to pop the mango to crush before the spin, and even if he could do so, because as soon as he pops the mango, Madara spins. But he got a couple free auto attacks on him, and that gets a kill. Ramsey's now cornered, gonna try for the Eclipse, but there's just not enough damage spread among these three.
And they're tanky too. Jakiro, Ogre, even Undying now, popping out the ulti. These guys are happy to soak in some beam damage, and they happily reflect it right back onto her ass. So now we're back even, Blaze, 5-5. In a lineup, but Finem are going to be certainly happy to get any sort of advancement moving forward now. So pressure begins to mount up quite a bit. No one's Dragon Knight continues to just, do his own thing at 0-0-0, but eventually it looks like he will be able to accumulate what looks like the start of an armlet.
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to have that extra bit of armor as well as just a raw HP to work with. It's a very good item for just, like, if you only activate it for one fight, you get just only good things from it. You don't have to worry about the damage over time effect. You just worry about the extra health, extra damage, extra ability to fight. But it looks like Lil will be going down here as the Omni Slash only connects on him, and Madara gets the last hit in.
Quick snipe takedown. Madara continues to put in work. 5-1 now on his jug.
This tower.
Can they get the deny? Can they get the last hit? It's going to be taken away. Lil will grab that one from the grave with the help of his creeps. And now a net comes forward. Lil continuing to participate even though he's not here. Nice heal. Nice turnaround does come out from Finem. They get the stun lock. Are they going to have a way to stop him from TPing though? No, they will not.
All right, so they can do that. They can turn fights really well with the Undying, kind of like the way that the Abaddon was trying to play the last game. But in the end, they still don't have an ice path. They really only have one stun cancel right now if the Lion is not in play, which of course he was caught out in the Dire jungle by the Shadow Demon Luna, and that evens his kill score up once again. But now we're going to see the push come into in earnest. You've got your Healing Ward, which now costs 140 mana. You've got your Liquid Fire maxed out, and you've got a bunch of Fearless heroes on the front lines.
Towers really don't seem to stand a chance, so Virtus Pro will have to be here to assist when possible. They had been nursing a lot of farm onto their Slardar, who now has his Blink Dagger Blaze, so this could be a big debut for him.
Oh, really could.
And it looks like they will be able to get the grab on the Ogre. The sacrifice Finem will have to take to get that new bit of information. They walk away. No tower in their pocket, but momentum's still on their side.
Generally speaking, yes, but I feel that every fight that Virtus Pro win, they're that much closer to victory. Like, all they have to do is really get Luna to level 16, get the DK farmed up to like 3 core items, and I feel like they're going to be able to deal with the majority of what Finem bring. BKBs are going to be great this game again, and just in general, I feel that VP, they've taken one tower up top. They got the tower mid as well, right? So they're actually doing better in the push department than Finem have been, though they look to even that up down bottom.
Asha gets himself in a very deep position to go for a backline assault, and he gets a nice 2-man crush right on the Ogre and on the Thug. Maybe next time going to be easily taken apart, and that just allows Virtus Pro to segue into also a Tier 2 takedown. There is going to be a trade as Finem look to go for a Tier 2 themselves here in the bottom, but the Virtus Pro push is certainly much more scary right now as they truck on forward, stringing kill after kill, and suddenly the ball's just right back in their court.
I will have to note that there was a game yesterday where Madara was in full base race mode. Like, he, as a solo Sven, was just taking down racks anytime that he could because he knew that he couldn't fight the enemy's 5-man lineup. I know that you got to cast the game like that yourself with Aoi on the Lifestealer, and yeah, I feel like that might be what the game comes down to at some point, is one team realizes they're weaker, but they're better able to take advantage of the map as a whole in terms of broad spectrum movement. So I'm excited to see where this game goes. Right now, though, I have to favor VP. I mean, not only do the graphs start tilting in their favor at this point in time, but they've been able to push more effectively. They're coming online in a big way with multiple items. And if they can just get like 2 or 3 big items, I feel like they're able to accomplish more as a whole.
Curious to see what Finem's next steps might be here. They're coming together and trying to utilize you know, the power of what should be a big peaking moment for them, having the Jakiro and the Undying, who really can thrive in these team fights and in these congested choke points, but they're going to have to just roll on through here. Maybe a quick snipe into the Roche pit? Looks like it. They're thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, they have nearly max bloodlust, right? So at this point, it's quite effective to bring it down. As long as you space it out with only 2 melee heroes up front, it'll go down quick. But at the same time, Luna is pushing down up top. She's going to get her level 11 here. And yeah, it's just hard to see. Dire use scan, does not see anything.
Yeah, can't really put it right inside the pit.
Lesson for your pubs, don't scan the Roche pit.
Don't scan inside the pit, guys.
Like, they didn't see a single damn thing, but they know they're in there now, I'm sure.
While that happens, finally it looks like M&T will step back. This tier 3 is getting pretty damn low. And will force Finem to respond. They do not finish off the Roche, and they leave it behind for Virtus Pro to sweep in and take. With that amp damage, it will make it very easy. We'll have to see if Finem can do anything about it. They're close. Tombstone on the high ground, maybe? Nothing?
No, they don't Tombstone. They can't.
Oh, they don't. You're right. Okay. Not so good here. Finem could be in a bit of trouble, but look, they caught Posh on the other side. Smart caught between them. Gets the finger off at the last second, but it's not going to be good enough to get the finish on Slardar. Now they're making chase here for Skylark. Slowed down a bit, but looks like he might be able to slightly outrace him.
Even still, though, they lose the Roche, they lose the Aegis, and they lose all that momentum that they were looking to pick up. So you're going to see Posh just die.
All right.
Just straight up walk into a Fire Blast. It's not a strong one at 55 damage, but it's enough to lock him in for the big decay. So, yeah, as a whole, the interesting thing here is they're just actually quite ineffective at countering split push. Like, Luna just kept on doing what she wanted up top, and there's no way that they can abandon the pit for that. And then, like you said, they don't have the tombstones, so how do they actually fight prolonged in a single space? Generally, it's going to be Macropyre, which just wasn't available in that situation.
And, you know, for Macropyre, it's only at its best if you're able to keep the enemy inside of it. So,
yeah, so like Tombstone, Macropyre sounds pretty good together, because
Yeah.
you can kind of draw them in to try to finish it off, or the zombies will keep going, but in the end, yeah, it's not working out.
Doesn't seem to be the case here. So Finem eventually have their backs against the wall towards this mid-game approach. We'll have to see what they can do to try to turn the tide.
I think Glaives might kill zombies. There was a huge list in my head of what kills zombies, and it was like Bristleback's Quill Spray, etc., 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 but then they nerfed it, and it's like only attacks kill them. But I think the Glaives count as attacks, the same as Gyrocopter's Flat Cannon. So even though when that nerf came through, Luna wasn't very meta, I'm pretty sure that she is a soft counter to Undying and makes the Tombstone all that much weaker. So as a whole, I have to say that it's understandable if that's the case that he doesn't go for the Tombstone, but yeah, how do you fight in those prolonged spaces? How do you control an area like the Roche pit? It's got to be Jakiro.
And they fend off this mid lane push for now. And Jakiro is bulking up quite a bit of money though. 2k gold after picking up the Veil. We used to see him pass plenty of times picking up like the Yules for the easy ice path setup, but he's already sitting on 2k. I imagine he's got something else on his mind. I'm just curious what it is.
Well, if they're going Mechanism on Undying, they can go for like a pipe or like drums or Vlads or other pushing cools. I really think the auras are really the key thing here. It's just, you have to fight as 5, so you might as well buy 5-man items. I think that gives the team a lot of potential, but Yules would not be bad. Curious if the Aghanim Scepter is even on Thug's mind at all, if that has any validity.
It's okay, I guess, if you're defending high ground, you just plop it in the lane and it sits there for so freaking long. It's like they'll eventually have to siege into it, but I don't know. And stats, I guess, but
sure. Always the stats. Speaking of stats, we got Chen finishing up his stat stick here, and he's able to bring in the big black dragon to push out mid. And now they're putting a red dragon down on the bottom tier too.
Here we go, Dragon Force out, as they will easily skeet right through this tier 2. And there doesn't seem to be anything stopping them, so they will just continue to go until they can ascend into high ground territory, where it looks like AF are going to start showing up. Already with the Macropyre? Yep. Drops it right down the middle. He opted to go for the Yules. Already burning away quite a bit. Watching no one here. Still has that Aegis, of course, but Virtus Pro are going to be forced to step back a bit. Macropyre going to be down. We'll have to see what else is left for him in high ground. They have Tombstone now. It's only level 1 though, Blaze, but I'm trying to think of what other kind of high ground tools they have to fend off any pressure from DP.
Well, I mean, it's going to come down, I think, to a fight away from the high grounds. I think there's going to be like one massive clash in the jungle or somewhere on open ground where it's just going to come down to the ultimates, how quickly they can burst down the Luna. And in that situation, once you have the numbers advantage, then you can push the high ground. But otherwise, it's kind of hard for both sides. And I think VP are disincentivized to try to go for such a aggressive approach if they don't have already kills or at least the Aegis. Obviously, they just picked up the Aegis for Dragonite. That's why they win as far as they did bottom, but I don't actually expect to see them sieging again anytime soon.
They'll get farmed, though. Ramsey's just chugging on through a serious stack. He's been trailing just behind the Jug up to this point, but this will definitely help things out a bit. Madara, who had already finished out his Manta style, is already bulking up towards 2K. Curious to see, what do you think he has to go for next at this point?
So the Luna or the
Jug?
Okay. Yeah, so
Manta, I mean,
in this point, yeah, after the Manta, that's, again, good for pushing, good for just general stats and attributes, but yeah, he needs some raw damage now. He definitely needs to build himself up to something that can, I mean, he has the Bloodlust, so he has attack speed. You might as well go for damage, I think, at this point, and just, if you think the Butterfly's coming out, you go for the MKB. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know. I would hesitate to talk about like Bashers and Abyssals, but for now we'll have the Blink. He'll have quite a few options at his disposal as he looks towards his next item.
But overall, we're still seeing Finem stuck in a position I'm sure they were not hoping to be in based on the draft they threw together. Crippled behind their tier 2s with only really Madara going out on his own adventure. Eventually, Virtus Pro can kind of do as they please, and they're just winning the economy game little by little. And with the Ags coming together on the Chen and just so many extra seed. I mean, it looks like now that we're going to have the Dragonite going for the BKB. Things are not going to get any easier for them. And
no. Giving it some more thought, I actually think Desolator would probably be the best item for the Juggernaut. You get a Deso, you're able to deal a lot more damage to the Chen's Ancient Creeps, which are otherwise magic immune and easy to recall with the Holy Persuasion, or actually the Test of Faith. And then, of course, that Desolator debuff is really important for breaking down the towers as well. So I'd say it's pretty valuable.
oh, Madara top lane, trying to make it go in for Chen and his creeps.
Okay.
We'll be able to make it out in the back of a Blade Fury TP out. That's good. And we'll be able to go back to the bottom lane and kind of continue with his farm. But Luna has overtaken him for top net worth in the game as she moves on in for possibly a BKB herself. So double BKBs in order here for VP. I imagine that is going to be the point when those are complete, that they look to kind of take some racks, do some real work inside the Advent base.
The last item on the list for Madara would be maybe a Diffusal Blade. You can purge Test of Faith to stop enemy from recalling, as well as purge off the amp damage from yourself. And he is actually going to be opting for that. At the very least, with the Manta synergy, it does create a lot of damage in the team fight. Assuming your illusions last that long, though, the glaives are going to be pretty beastly pretty soon.
That's true. Here comes Finem, though, rolling their way through this bottom lane. Just casually farming as a unit here, but not the team to really go on the offensive anymore. No smoke movements coming out by their side. Just not feeling comfortable overall making any sort of approach into Virtus Pro territory, unless they are as a team. But Virtus Pro happy to avoid the fights for now and just continue to pressure all the side lanes. No one continues to make his work here at the top, while Solo and company are just kind of taking away the stacks here of Finem and pressuring the mid lane. It's obvious that Finem are just playing Virtus Pro's game right now.
Yeah, pretty much. But I do like a couple of things that are working out well for Finem. Obviously, they're able to get a lot of farm with the Shakiro pushing out lanes, farming up camps, whatever. He's actually going to be opting for, I think, a Shiva's Guard. Only the plate mill shows for now, so it could be a couple of different things. But what I like about Shiva's is it synergizes additively with your Liquid Fire attack speed slow. So you've got a 90 attack speed slow against enemy heroes, and they're all having to build BKBs because of what draft they're up against. So what they're going to be lacking in is mostly just attack speed, and they're going to be doing about half their potential damage output.
Nice little solo kill on Solo. They'll spot the poor little support, probably going on his own little adventure, trying to plant some wards. He assumes there's probably a ward on the high ground to the right-hand side. He's not far off, as there's one just on the left-hand side. So I'll have to take that one for what it's worth and head on out. I could also see Jakiro just picking up a Lotus Orb, maybe just wants to purge off the amp damage.
No, I definitely think it's Shiva's.
Yeah.
It seems like the kind of item that Thug would like to buy anyways, and it actually worked with this hero quite well. It's like, it's not like a Phoenix level of synergy. Oh, double damage attack? What are you doing, no one? Oh my god!
Will be able to get a hold of Madara, but does get stunned up. That's the turnaround Omni Slash, and he'll eat the whole thing and go right down.
He tried to swag on the opposing carry. Like, you just don't do that. Too much backup. There's way too much risk involved in that. At the same time, like, in his head, he thought that was just a jug farming by himself.
Yeah.
He thought it was a freebie, and it definitely could have been. But we see here, there were friends in the forest, and you can't count them out. It's a team game after all.
Yeah, you can't just, like in a pub, type 1v1, man.
Yep.
1v1.
Dude, even if you type that, nobody's going to agree. You type 1v1, and then you're like, oh, there's only one guy. And 2 guys are smoked right behind him. Like, you know it's 3v1 every time. Nobody 1v1. There's no honor in Dota.
Virtus.pro will have to take that one, and for what it's worth, break this game back even 9-9. And Madara gonna have to claim the extra pence nearby. Ooh. Slardar's up and out. He has that gem, so he's seeking around for wherever that ward was. Almost came across it, but didn't want to put himself at too much risk of losing said gem, so he leaves as soon as he goes in. But after them just kind of holding Trusty onto their side. Jakiro keeps farming up, and it looks like you're right. Shiva seems to be the option for him as he continues to get closer to that Mystic Staff.
Once that Shiva's is out, the attack speed reduction is going to really hurt Dragon Knight in particular. Like Luna, she's got some agility to her. It's fine. She will lose a lot of damage, but it won't be nearly as much as DK, who's going to be just hitting so slow. If his BKB isn't active, the Liquid Fire still affects him. Either way, BKB or not, the Shiva's aura is going to affect him. I almost want to like theorycraft further and be like, a Chen should possess an Ancient Thunderhide Lizard and put Frenzy on the DK so he has bonus 75 attack speed. Oh man, that would be the dream, but that's just my mechanics nerd inside.
We'll have to see how next level Lil is and how familiar he is with all the creeps. If he wants to adapt that to their gameplay just to assist the DK and the Luna if necessary.
It would be so legit, honestly, but we'll see. Either way, DK and Luna finding their BKBs at pretty much the same time. This is a massive power spike for VP. I mean, as much as we want to talk about great pickup for the Diffusive Blade on the Juggernaut or the Shiva's Guard soon to be on the Jakiro, it doesn't matter squat compared to the BKBs coming out from Ramses and no one. Like, end of the day, the BKBs are going to buy them like multiple fights. A 10-second BKB charge, you can't fight into that as Finem's team. So you could try to get the BKB charge out and then run, or reset the fight, or you can just try to kill them before they get it off. But if you don't accomplish that, then you're in real trouble. And now they have the Aegis to deal with too.
Virtus.pro begin to migrate towards Finem, but Finem hold the high ground here, knowing it's a great choke point to fight with, but
Ramses!
Nice spread around from the rest of the team as the Chen creeps are the one to scout everyone out and rush on forward. Finem are just going to have to step on back.
Interesting, like, as far as, like, wanting to be a man in the line of fire, he's just like, okay, well, we're all smoked up here, I'll start it, and nobody's following. Let's just walk away. Casual Earth Spike to the enemy carry, and you go ahead and go back to farming. Like, it's kind of awkward. The game was actually really fast-paced for the first, like, 15 minutes. We had so many kill boxes happening here for, like, 20 minutes, maybe 15, and then
things got serious.
It got evened up, and things just started happening. We started pushing and farming and spreading the map. There's been a nice push and pull between the Jakiro and the Chen, with the Ancient Creep pushing and the Macropyre killing off the waves, but really, there's been no direct confrontation for quite some time.
Now Virtus.pro can just Shadow Demon Luna their way and some sieging potential while cutting off some other lanes, it looks like.
That's where you need, like, I guess the Dragon Lance doesn't increase Liquid Fire's range. I think it's Ether Lens that does. But,
I don't know, actually.
If you manually cast it,
Oh, you're right.
But
heavy first. Pasha will get forced out to safety. But this tier 3 not set for this world. Skylark eats so much damage as the glaives just fire on forward. Glyph will conclude. Tier 3 will go down. Rax is in trouble here. Finem, what are you going to do? Lion eating way too much damage. Can't even get close enough. So they have to do all their damage from the outskirts, but Ramses and no one have put themselves in a solid position to continue to be the demo men, and they easily just wipe out these racks with little to no effort.
Well, there was a 30-minute rack break, but not on the team that wanted it. Finem really needed to get really early momentum in this game, push down towers before they started falling off, and that time has come, and the racks are going the other way. I really do think it's VP's game right now, but anything could happen with these heroes on the front line.
They're trying something. Macropyre goes out, so is the Fissure. Oh, Yules in the last second will help keep him alive, but the Eclipse is only going to get soaked up by the Ogre, and then finally fall back onto Thug. Now double buyback is in order here for Finem to hold on to their life. Virtus.pro can walk away with these big winnings and be content, but Madara says don't go too far. As he ends up getting disrupted, trying to go for the Omni Slash. Now we'll get the grab onto Solo, finishes him off, but the rest of Virtus.pro will be able to make it away. As not a good enough counterplay from Finem to make up for all the damage that has seriously been done.
Not at all. I mean, the Bloodlust on the tower is cute. MNT will get the deny as a result of the damage it was able to deal, but all in all, it's, yeah, VP have just broken bottom lane. They get half of a tier 3 tower's bounty, and they still have 9-second BKBs on both cores. Hell, Luna didn't even have to use hers. A 10-second BKB and 2 minutes left on the Aegis of Ramses. If his Eclipse is up, there's nothing that can stop him.
Looks like yellow time. Madara's trying to just blitz forward in what looks like the makings of a butterfly at least, but they're just straight down mid lane. I think they know that their hopes for this game are becoming pretty damn looted.
Yeah, there's no way they can win by a war of attrition. It has to be brute force, and it has to be within the next few minutes. So I would still say they need to wait for the Aegis if they have any hope of taking a fight, but as soon as those 2 minutes pass, they have to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there will be a smoke available to them within 2 minutes, like almost just about 2 minutes time. Because it seems like them just casually running out in that manner is not going to be their best bet. If they want to do anything by brute force, it obviously needs to be on their terms.
It's just so hard. The Slardar gem makes the vision advantage unparalleled, and it makes it so that, yeah, smoke is almost your only approach.
So what do you think now that we're trying to look at the big picture of things? I know the game is not over yet, but Finem, you know, got to respect them, thinking outside the box a bit with their drafting, looking to go all in on what they want to do. But do you think they just went a little bit too far with this one, or?
Yeah, it might be a little bit too experimental. Like it's an all-in gimmick draft. Like if there's a cheese draft, it's 5 years that are designed to push the game out.
Jump from the low ground, insta takes out Spartan, no Lion for this what could be final defense by Finem. And now this is going to be a tier 3 down. Rax is down just like that. There is really no hope at all. Madara will try his best. He takes on the majority of Virtus.pro, but he is but one man, and he cannot do it alone. He ends up getting dropped. Ramsey will claim a dominating streak as he gets a follow-up cleanup kill, finishing off the Undying. And Virtus.pro are now going to be blitzing towards the finish line here, as there's only one more set of racks. AF will fight with their final legs, but eventually they throw in the Tau Blaze as this one is over. It's going to start our best of 5 off with a 1-1 split as Virtus.pro take game number 2.
Yeah. It just seems like Virtus.pro had a really good response to all the aggression that was being put out in the laning phase. I mean, sure, Lil ended up feeding first blood, but he made up so much for it with all his early movement there. Like, he used his creeps really well, was able to gank up with Hellbears and such, and just stay active. Like, yeah, you talked about it. He had the option of just saying, okay, screw it. My ganks failed. I'm back in my own jungle. Let's just farm. And he could have just AFK'd in the jungle, as many tend to do. Art style probably would have, but no, not Lil. He says we can win this laning phase despite our early losses, and they were able to recoup. They were able to keep the kill score even for the longest of time, and in general just keep the push rolling in their favor. They were able to break towers faster. They were able to get still a really good Ags timing on the Chin, and it just seemed like maybe Thug was a bit uncomfortable in the Jakiro pick. Obviously they can't have practiced it more than a handful of games, and it was a lineup that needed too much.
Got to give props to Virtus.pro in their earlier series against Liquid. They showed a very different kind of play style, the classic Virtus.pro play style, Spirit Breaker, Rush, get in your face, aggressive. And here it's the more methodical, what had been the traditional meta, you know, Shadow Demon, you know, slow sieging kind of a economy game. But so Virtus.pro showing that they have multiple tricks up their sleeves, multiple styles to play with. Finem also showing that. Maybe a bit too much brash here in the game number 2 draft, so I'm curious to see what they look to bring to the table in game number 3, and that's what we're in store for next. So let's go ahead and cut to a small break. When we return, we'll be back for game 3 action for the Summit 6 European Finals. It's Finem versus Virtus.pro. I'm Kyle Guy, that's Blaze. We'll see you soon.